backyard or first time or whatever, you look up and see all the numbers that are up there, starting with Russell and all the way through. What goes through your mind, and now to see another guy like Pierce go up there?
I mean, it's one of the great things about being a part of the Boston Celtics is not only the tradition and the history of what the team's accomplished, but the celebration of the individual players that really played such a significant role in that. And obviously, I got here 5 days after he was traded. So I've only coached against Paul and gotten to know him a little bit now as a media member. So I do feel like, though, I got to watch him as a fan, and I think that's, you can kind of appreciate the way that, even though I wasn't in Boston, the way that people feel about celebrating his accomplishments.
What jumped out to you when you did watch him from a fan perspective?
Just his ability to score with the game on the line, especially in isolation, and being able to play from, whether it's three-point line or the elbows or on the block against smaller guys. He was a problem, and he continued to be a problem as he moved to the four late in his career. But, obviously, you saw a guy that just continued to stay with the game and be great at all that the game required of him at that time. You think about the three-point line becoming even more of a thing, and then he could play some 3-4. And he's one of these versatile guys now that everybody in the league is looking for and trying to fill their rosters out with. And he was it, 15 years ago to 2 years ago.
Paul kind of revolutionized this game when the Big Three came, and he became a really impressive defender. What does his career show as far as players never really stop growing? There's always something they can add to and enhance it.
Yeah, the great ones never stop. The great ones always get better. We talk. I've mentioned this a couple times this year. I think when they give out the Most Improved award at the end of the year, it almost always goes to a six-man who becomes a starter or a starter who increases his points per game or whatever the case may be. Very rarely does it go to the all-star that took it to a different level and became an MVP candidate, and it probably should. It probably should go to those guys because the leaps and bounds that the great ones continue to get better at is amazing, and obviously Paul did that throughout his career.
Well, will you even try to acknowledge with your players tomorrow all the people that will be there to watch, the Hall of Famers that will be there for the ceremony?
We always, I think we try to always be, we try to always prioritize that, Gary. I think that not only, the responsibility of playing the right way in front of them, but just in Boston, period. And, I've said this since I've been here, that one of the great parts about being a Boston Celtic is the responsibility that comes with it. When Jason Tatum's 19 and he puts on a Celtic uniform for the first time, he's not a 19-year-old. He's got to play like a Boston Celtic, and that's important. And it's something that we really value, and it's something that I think will, everybody will get excited about when those people are in the building.
Jason, I think it was 4 months when Paul was drafted. So we kind of have to do a refresher course.
I'm the same age as Paul, so that hurts. Yeah, no, he knows who Paul Pierce is. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, I think you guys have all brought it up enough. Yeah.
Coach Paul talked about how much he missed because of his dedication to the game, the single-mindedness. Talk about that defines him as a great.
What was he saying that? In what regard?
How much of family things that he missed? And,
yeah. Well, and the one thing that I will say is that from a reputation standpoint, whenever anybody talks about him in our offices, because I never got a chance to coach him, but I have assistants that coached him, and then I have obviously a front office that was there the whole time, and ownership is they always talk about him in glowing terms with regard to what kind of a dad he is and husband and who he is as a person and his growth in that area. And I think that when you think about all that the game does require of these guys as far as time and commitment and need to get better if you're one of the really good players, you have to work hard to balance everything. But again, his reputation is that he's done that.
So if he was traded 5 days before you,
How smart does that make me?
Did you walk around a while saying, if I just had Pierce, if I just had Pierce?
Well, they traded Garnett too, and Jason Terry. We traded a bunch of guys, but it was funny. I was just telling this story. Danny had called me a couple days before the draft, and think it was, obviously Doc left right before the draft, maybe a Tuesday or whatever, and he called me that night for the first time and said, hey, I want to talk to you about, considering coming to coach here and blah, 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 but I've got some other things going on. So I'm going to need to, just think about it. And we talked a little bit the next day, and then I saw along the ticker the other things going on. And it made you think twice.
Still came?
That's right. We had to have a few more conversations. Yeah, thanks.